Certainly, it cannot be denied that making games is a challenging endeavor. We are very sure that no developer team intends to create a bad game when working on their projects. So, the shortcomings of a game are not something we can easily point at and laugh about without considering and understanding the process behind it. Therefore, we should appreciate game developers because we cannot make games ourselves. But because many people enjoy content like this time we will try to be as negative as possible to discuss the worst games from one of the 7th generation consoles, the PS3. In an era where the leap in game technology advancement is increasingly significant, various bad games or those that feel outdated will become more apparent among the brilliant modern games that emerged during this era. We have selected games that have provided the most terrible experiences on the PS3. So, here are the 7 worst PS3 games of all time. The first one on this list is Sonic the Hedgehog. This game was released on November 14, 2006, for PS3 and Xbox 360. The game is a reboot of the original Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991. It attempted a realistic style and involved a blockbuster story about saving a princess from world destruction, similar to Final Fantasy. Whether it's due to numerous cutscenes and cringeworthy dialogue or the bizarre romantic story between Sonic and a human princess, this game is probably the best option for anyone serious about playing it, as expectations for gameplay are low. Technically, there are many issues like bugs, performance problems, and other factors that affect gameplay. Even the platforming sections, which should be enjoyable, are not fun with Sonic feeling unresponsive. All we do is press buttons repeatedly and Sonic easily overcomes obstacles in front of him with a poorly controllable camera. Additionally, we are frustrated by frequent and lengthy loading screens. Despite not being GTA 5, the presence of this game has certainly contributed to the decline of the Sonic game franchise. Next is Tony Hawk Ride at number 6. Tony Hawk Ride was released on November 17, 2009, for PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii. With the popularity of peripheral controls in games at that time, Activision decided to follow the trend with Tony Hawk Ride, which came with a skateboard-shaped controller priced at $120, intending to attract casual gamers and bring back fans of the series. However, with such an idea, casual gamers find it difficult to enjoy, and hardcore gamers do not get precise controls. Even if the gameplay were solid, various technical issues like long loading times and a complicated interface would ruin the overall experience. However, the game's gameplay is also very unreliable with physics and glitchy hit collisions, as well as its own unresponsive skateboard controls that result in incorrect comments. So everything is wrong. Here with difficult easy, we won't have much control, and if we raise the difficult, we will be made frustrated. The presence of this game to provide a realistic skateboarding experience is completely useless because we just have to buy a real skateboard that is also much cheaper. Number 5 is Cerebeliot. This game was released on January 28, 2010. Exclusive to PS3, the Coastal PlayStation always has a large JRPG game library, including PS3. For JRPG games that have graphics that look outdated, they usually have the potential to provide deep and complex RPG gameplay. But for games with equivalent graphics levels, this PSP game has absolutely no hope for its RPG game. In this game, we will be given a flat and boring story about the main character named Nine Asphalt who has died. But with the power of a character named Asia, the two of them can live alternately, which, by the way, animation and voice acing in the cutscenes are really suitable because they are equally bad. So with that concept, we will be given combatant base. Without so many tactical choices where in each turn for no reason at all we will change characters with animations, open portals and the like, which definitely takes a long time. Although indeed playing this game alone is also including wasting time with gameplay time that includes short for RPG games without providing meaningful replayability. Maybe the Arst anime game can still be liked, but that certainly still cannot save the whole game. Then there is Magus number 4. This game was released on February 25, 2014, exclusively for PS3. In this game, we will play as magicians in his adventure to revenge on the world for imprisoning him for life. After he knew that he was actually a god, and that was the whole story of the game and that we explained in one sentence, Magus has gameplay action RPG, where the core gameplay basically is walking through various repetitive levels while fighting enemies using magic powers. For RPG gameplay, we will be given various character upgrade options. But we will not be motivated to do so because the combat is so simple and the enemies are very not intelligent, and there are also branch dialogues that we can choose, which ultimately each choice will not change anything. Magus really feels if made with a small budget and a short time. Can we see from his graphics, which are not politicized, many loading problems, textures. The instructions in the mission are unclear and the animation loop is very ridiculous. And talking about ridiculousness, it seems that the game developer was aware that they could not provide much for gameplay and story. So they made this game a little entertaining with Magus personality who's savage. Next is Emmy at number 3. Released on January 11, 2012 for PS3 and Xbox 360. So we will play as Lana, who saves a girl named EMI from a lab that wants to take advantage of his supernatural power. But when on the way there is suddenly an apocalypse zombie that is happening, and now their journey becomes more complicated. The concept that intends to provide a story of the relationship between mother and child is made very shallow without being given any context about their motivation with the personality of the characters that are very unique. Various new plots and concepts are also continuously introduced throughout the gameplay, which are finally also forgotten, making the whole story of this game very messy. In a game where most of the gameplay is puzzle exploration, where various things are also done repetitively and filled with unreasonable rules, there are many moments where we are not given enough clues, and if that is not enough to make us frustrated. Jim and Aim has stiff animation, frame DP that happens randomly, and combat with a messy control scheme that will make Dark Souls feel younger. Emmy certainly has failed as a survival game, action game, puzzle game, story-driven game, and as a game. Next up is Rambo the video game at number 2. This game was released for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360 on February 21, 2014. By looking at screenshots of game adaptations from one of the most iconic action films, we will think to get an FPS action game. Super, generic, and linear with expectations as low as possible. But Rambo the video game actually managed to exceed our expectations beyond low. The point is because this game turns out to be an on-real shooter game. So what we do in this game is just point our guns at all enemies and the characters will move automatically. In addition, there are also some quick-time event sections with animations that are very not wordy and unresponsive controls. So the main game law of this game cannot even be enjoyed, and we will continue to be given the same things throughout the game. By providing a story from a movie released 30 years ago, the only reason this game can be attractive is for people who haven't watched the movie. But this time also managed to mess it up by giving facial expressions without emotional models, messy characters, even from the main character himself who looks like an ancient human, flat voice acting, and the overall audio and effects that seem cheap. So there's absolutely no reason for anyone on this planet to play Rambo the video game. So what's number 1 on this list? Ride to Hell Retribution. This game was released on June 24, 2013 for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. Can we see that the game developer tried hard to provide a good action game experience? But whatever we see and hear from this game actually becomes a comedy with various cuts and voices that we edited. By playing as Jack, basically we will become a hero to save the city where we live that is controlled by motorcycle gangs, not because the concept like this cannot end well, but the problem is that the simple concept is successfully written and delivered messily and everywhere. For gameplay, we will be given sections of exploration, chase levels, motor, combat, hand-to-hand and gunfight with PSIK mechanics and as broken level design as possible, where each section will come suddenly without a clear flow. And the game in general is always unreasonable, but in this game we will be amazed by the unreasonable, even like enemy motorcycles that explode once kicked, enemies who only die after being shot, dozens of bullets and so on. Maybe at first we will think that a bad game is due to lack of effort and laziness of the developer. But after seeing Ride to Hell Retribution, we will believe that to make a superfect bad game it also requires the same effort. So those are the 7 worst PS3 games of all time. Which game is the worst in your opinion? Or maybe you know another game that should be on the list? Write in the comments column below.